We're going to ride on board with Joey Haynes right here, our current leader. It's all going to unfold right in front of them.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's like a video game. Well, I mean, I say that, but you know what I mean. It's just zipping past cars. It's like he's playing some arcade game there and just blasting past them one after another as they all wreck around him.
I mentioned how aggressive Hovdahl was through the GTO traffic on the lap before, and here he's going to try to go around the outside, which he's already in the dirty air, and just barely hangs on to it. Bill with another poor exit out of turn one. You got to think the over-under has got to be coming at some point, but no. Neil Kemp's going to try the long way around turn two. What a battle here for the 6th place position. Neil Kemp has half a car over Bill Tyler, but they're going to take it side by side into the short break zone. This could be disaster right here, but Bill Tyler thankfully backs out of it.
Will he get both of these spots, or will it be Kimo or Gernot through the first corner, out of that one, and now it's going to be 3 wide as they come up to the next braking zone.
Watch Leno right here. He's going to have the best draft off the back of Kimo, but Gernot's going to take it wide around the outside. He's going to have great traction coming off of this corner.
Who's going to get the exit? That's going to be so critical. Oh, no, banging wheels.
We're almost to that point. Antonio Alvarez is 5 seconds back, so it's only going to be 4 cars. But my goodness, it's a 4-car fight now for the 7th position.
Oh no, this is too wide through the chicane. This doesn't work well. Fabian Jungbluth is going to have to take a course cut. That's going to be a slowdown penalty. Aitor Sintes Galindo keeps on rocking. That's going to be Xavier Sanchez and Ross Banfield now taking it too wide on Aitor Sintes Galindo. He doesn't have a time to breathe out there.
Nobody has a time to breathe. Sintes Galindo fighting off the battle from Jungbluth. Now he's under pressure from Banfield. Xavier Sanchez looking on in the back, and Jungbluth is now caught up because of these guys going too wide. Everyone's a little slower right now. They've lost a full 1.5 seconds to Antonio Alvarez. Now it's almost going to be 3 wide into the braking zone for the next right-hander. And they make a little contact.
Just a little bit of contact puts 2 wheels of Banfield out on the dirt, and the defense of Aitor Sintes Galindo. Write this down. This is one for the ages, folks. He is still in that 7th position.
There's a bear in the woods.
Right, come on you fatty. Come on fatty.
I don't even know who lives in there or what the hell's going on there.
Could I sleep in there today? Oh, no room.
And we're on the way there. Ignore the fart. We go, and a bit of that, and a bit of...
You know.
Sangers, James, sangers I've got.
My pedal broke, man.
And thanks to Show That Bros, Mickey's on the most useless street in the world.
Come on!
Always keep a shoe in your kitchen department, guys.
Don't worry, it's the COVID talking. It's probably wild boar, a few bears, a lot of women washing their cars saying hi on the side of the road.
Go on, Mick, feel it, Mick, feel it.
I might be going mad.
Want to see me underwear?
Welcome to Spa-Francorchamps. Less than an hour's drive east from the German border, this Belgian track has come to define racing for many different eras in the sport. It's no wonder it continues to entrance drivers when you look at the stats. The 7 kilometers over the course of a lap includes more than 330 feet in elevation change as it weaves its way through the Ardennes forest. Packed into this is 19 turns, some of which are considered among the most famous in the world of racing. Corners like La Source and Blanchemont have been on the lips of drivers for decades. But by far the most notorious is Eau Rouge and Radillon. Typically referred to in name by just the first section, it dips low and swings left, then compresses and climbs to the right up a massive hill. The sequence ends with a completely blind crest that sweeps to the left and leads onto the incredibly long Kemmel Straight. The bravery required to be fast through there will pay off towards one of the most popular passing spots at Lacombe. Eau Rouge is exemplary of the rest of the circuit though. Most of the turns are incredibly fast and many include much of that signature elevation change. As jaw-dropping as the track is, you have to remember that this is the modern truncated layout. The old one, raced until 1979, was 14 kilometers in length, yet carried an average speed of 150 miles per hour. Present-day safety measures do cut down on the danger, but even in recent history, the circuit has proven deadly. It's clear why this track continues to be revered and respected by racers the world round.
This is going to be a real test of character for these drivers. Look for some obvious overtaking opportunities. Well, pretty much any corner on the track going into Lacombe is going to be your primary one at that point. I've also seen some moves getting thrown down into Fagnes as well as down into the bus stop. But really and truly, we can always talk about the run up over Eau Rouge and Radillon. Always fearsome, and especially in these cars with no traction control, no ABS. Going to be a real challenge for them, and I think we're going to be in for one cracker of a race.
Absolutely. And before we get to that race, we do want to remind you of our sponsors, which of course includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact today at GameChangerBR.com or 225-664-2565. Now, as for the championship situation, last time out, Tom Layton did not have a good run, and Andrew Chinichi is the one that tried to gain on him. Michael Johnson, though, flubbed it just as much. He unfortunately didn't get to finish the race, only got a single point with his DNF. So you don't see it here in the points, unfortunately, but this does put Tom Layton under pressure because that sucks up one of his drop weeks and means he can't do much else the rest of the season to miss out, which he actually unfortunately has to do this time because he's not here today. So we will see Tom Layton have a bit of a bit of pressure here towards the latter end of the season, since this does mark the halfway point with it only being 12 rounds this time around. It's quite tight, a little bit below him there. You saw with a tie between Dewan and Bolton as well. What about the race details, since it is slightly different today, DJ?
Yes, it is, Joe. As we line up here for the 6th race, the halfway point in our season, we're still out there in the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars, the 992. But the big difference here is going to be the fact that it is a 90-minute race. That's right. It's one of our endurance races out on the schedule. So that's going to change things up. As always, though, a fixed setup here in the league. So really, it is just all going to be about the drivers getting themselves ahead. That is going to be the difference maker here today around this Belgian circuit.
It is indeed. Now, the drivers are out currently setting their qualifying times. Qualifying not known for being as important at this track. There are plenty of opportunities to try and overtake, but it is tough to get that clean lap in here, DJ, because the incidents, the off tracks, as we call them here in iRacing, can delete the lap. And I do still see at least one driver that hasn't set a time.
Yeah, that's Thiel out on the track, and you've got to be very, very careful. The way the iRacing system works is if you do venture off track, pick up one of those little off tracks, that means that your lap will be deleted. And so you've got to be very, very careful about that. One of the things we are seeing, though, is plenty of drivers coming back down into pit lane and actually practicing their pit lane entry. That's going to be a big difference here today, as these drivers will have to make a pit stop counter to what we normally see them doing.
Yeah, usually it's just a sprint race for about 30 minutes out here in the POC, and there's no scheduled pit stop for them. If they do have to visit, usually they take a spare car because they have those also waiting in pit lane. Now they can at least try to use them strategically, as they will plan to make a stop into pit lane, but still, you don't want to have to give that one away. As we see Michael Johnson on the outside of the front row, according to the times, just getting back out on track behind Jeffrey Schulem, doing what I'm expecting a lot of drivers, frankly, to do, which is to try and utilize the draft here.
Yeah, that's going to be a big, big key. Now, the one thing that Johnson is going to have to worry about here, well, he's already had to worry about it, and that is going to be a little bit of the aero wash coming up and over Eau Rouge and Radion. Once he gets down here into the braking zone for Lacombe, it's going to be a little bit easier. But as the track picks up momentum here, he's really going to have to fight against that. But he's got another competitor here because Marc Rondeau just set the fastest lap of qualifying.
Interesting. Okay, so he's pipped Mayorga and Johnson. It's about a 10th apart from each of those drivers, so it is pretty close up at the front, at least for a track of this length. We're talking more than 2 minutes to circulate here in these Porsche Cup cars. So the fact that they've cut it down as far as that does say to me that we might be in for a good race. As did Michael Bolton actually just jump up as well? Yes, he did. The 127 puts down a 21.3, but unfortunately he's not able to catch Johnson. It's about 2/10 between himself and the next car.
Yeah, he's going to have about 4 minutes left to try to put another lap together here, and he should have time to get one, maybe two more in as he goes, so he should have enough time to try to back everything up. But as you said earlier, Joe, the draft is so mega around here that I've got to think he's going to want to be able to try to get the toe up the Kemmel Straight. As we check back in on another driver about ready to cross over the line, this is Jad Duncan, currently down at about 6th place position with a time of 2:21.77. He's going to practice that pit lane entry.
Yep, so he switched back now to Jeffrey Schulem, who we saw a little bit earlier. He's not getting any tow. Johnson is, but Johnson's still on his outlap, so this one won't be fast no matter what. It's the car behind him that I'm actually concerned about. Jacob Abrams is currently 7/10 up on his lap. He is going to smash his previous time here if he can keep this all the way to the line. He's good out of the last corner. This looks like it's going to be a mega lap for him, and it's a 21.4. That will push him up into 6th.
A great lap there for the 728 machine. He's going to be feeling very, very confident about that, I have to think, as Abrams here in 6th place. As you said, qualifying not the most crucial here. There's plenty of opportunity to get an overtake done, plenty of opportunity to be able to get a pass done. So it's going to be plenty of room there. I think if you qualify up at about the top, let's call it about 6 or 7, could be in good position come the race end.
Still don't see Thiel out there with a time yet. and he hasn't taken off. In fact, if he doesn't take off right now, I don't think he's going to be able to set a time. So he's going to have to start from the back of the field as the 11 of Rondeau doesn't go any quicker that time by. He crossed with enough time to take 2 laps here, this one and the next, as long as he doesn't wreck. So we'll have to wait and see. Thiel is out on track. But again, I think he started too late. I don't think he's going to make the timing line before that time runs out. If he's not on a hot lap by the time it reaches 0, that's it.
Yeah, I think he is going to be tail end Charlie here on the field, lining up behind Dylan Scott and John Momeyer. We're going to take a look, though, over at Michael Johnson as he continues to work his way behind Jeff Schulem right now. Now, the one problem here for Johnson is Schulem is well down the order. He's in 8th. His best time here is a time of 2:22.10. That's about 2 full seconds off of Michael's best time, so he actually could be slowing himself down here a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't think Michael anticipated that because he was 4/10 up until a couple corners ago. So he was actually looking really good, but now he's going to get the slipstream. I just don't think he's going to be able to pass him before they get to Blanchimont here, which is what he really needs, or else he's just going to continue to lose time. He comes off of that fast left-hand flick, and he's just about even with what he was before. If he had managed to get his friend out of the way before then, he maybe could have had a quick lap, but now I'm seeing it's going to be close on if he can improve or not. It's about a 10th down. Let's see if that's enough to get second place. No, he does not improve.
Oh, and that's going to be a tough run there for him. He is going to cross over the line with enough time to be able to get another one in. But I'll tell you what, Schulem here had a bit of a problem. He spun coming off of the bus stop, and that means that this lap is probably not going to be great either.
And it's his last lap. In fact, you're right. He's already nearly a second down from his best time. And he's barely started the first corner, so he can pretty much count this one over unless he does something incredible over the course of this lap to really make up for it. Corey Thiel's desperately trying to get to the line in time, but he's got less than 20 seconds to go, and he's coming up towards the bus stop right now. I don't think this is going to be enough. Let's see if he can prove us wrong. He's going to have to be really good here out of the final corner. 4 seconds to go. Is he close enough? It's going to be tight. And no, he was given the checkered flag. Corey Thiel is done. If he had left a second sooner, he would have been out there on a hot lap.
Oh, and that's got to be heartbreaking for Thiel at this point. But the one good news that he's going to be able to hold on to is exactly what we've been saying this entire time. There's still plenty of positions to make up during the race, and so he will hopefully be able to do just that. But we're going to focus right now on John Momeyer, currently in 12th place. He's going to be trying to improve here, close down about a 3-second gap up to Dylan Scott in front of him.
Only Momeyer and Johnson have the ability to try and improve their lap here. I'm showing Momeyer about a tenth of a second quicker right now, but he's actually 2.7 seconds down from Dylan Scott, who's the next one up. I don't feel like his chances are good at this stage unless he's been just messing up the last couple corners by a big margin, and he can suddenly make up that time compared to what he's showing us on the timing boards right here. Johnson is showing about a tenth quicker than his time, which again is going to be close on whether that will put him on the front row or not. And yeah, Momeyer, I am showing, is a little too slow, so he is not going to be able to take any improvement as he crosses the line. He'll have to start from 12th here today after that. What about Johnson? 2/10 quicker at this point. He's gotten even faster on the second half of the lap. Oh, but he had an off track, and it gets deleted.
Oh, a little bit of a heartbreak there for Michael Johnson. But again, he'll be able to make up some good ground, I think, off the start of this race as we just wait for everything to officially tick on over. It's almost time to go racing, Joe.
Again, we're marking the halfway point of the season with this one. It's important that a few drivers get a good finish. Sadly, Chinichi not here to try and do any good after he stormed in with a third, a second, and a first right consecutively. And Michael Johnson is probably the one that is in the best spot to try and do something to Leighton. The bad news for him is it's 20 points for a win, and he's 29 points behind currently. So Johnson will not be able to overtake him even if he gets the victory here today. We'll see what happens with that one in the end. With the qualifying finish, though, I guess it's time to go through our starting order for today's race. And like we said, not the most important of things, but still will help keep you out of trouble, especially at the start of a race where sometimes things can be chaotic in the first couple turns. Rondeau will start on the pole. Great lap from him. Not a pole sitter usually from what we can see from Mark. Sam Mayorga will start in second as Michael Johnson improves on his typical qualifying woes to start from P3. Michael Bolton will be in the fourth position, followed by Ed Nelson, who came in for his first race of the season last time and took a second place. What can he do from fifth? Jacob Abrams will be P6 after 0 laps in the practice session for this one, but has done fairly well here in the qualifying. Jad Duncan starts P7, and then it's Jeffrey Shulam in 8th. Doug Baccignone puts it P9, and then 10th was Mark Bray. As we mentioned earlier, Dylan Scott and John Momeyer were the last two to set qualifying times, and then Corey Thiel will start from the back end of the grid, having taken too long to put himself on the track. 13 cars for a 90-minute race here at Spa, but it will truly be a race of endurance at a track like this here, DJ, because it's probably going to gobble up a few drivers, I imagine.
Yeah, it certainly will. I've got to imagine we're going to see a driver or two off a little bit here, but I think if you're able to just keep everything pointed the right way and keep it going around, you could find yourself up in podium contention.
Checking to see, Cigar Dewan's in fourth, and he's not here as well today. A bit sad to see so many drivers gone, but Bolton is sitting in fifth, and he's tied with Sagan, as I mentioned earlier. So he's going to be able to break that tie today. And I mean, heck, he's started on the outside of the second row, so he's not doing himself much harm with that one. Let's see how many more positions he can climb, especially with so many missing today and eating up that drop race for their round as we now take off and head towards the starting line. Since it is the traditional GP pits, we won't have to wait until after La Source, but that does mean, DJ, that they're going to have to take La Source with a very crowded start.
Yeah, they certainly are, and that's not exactly the best thing, but plenty of opportunity to give each other space, give each other time, and really and truly be patient. That's going to be the key.
All right, will Rondeau stay patient here? He's got to wait for the signal from the flagman. Barney has the green held up, but it hasn't waved yet. Looking for the sign. Big hang back from Mayorga, though, as the green flag is out. Mayorga was hanging maybe a little too far back because now Johnson is down to the inside. Rondeau covers off the line into La Source. The notorious hairpin. Will it claim any drivers on this one? Little bit of contact between first, second, and third, but they make it through.
Yes, they do. Everybody just being nice and calm here. A little bit too wide, farther back in the field. I think that's Abrams trying to make a little bit of a move there on Jad Duncan to be able to cover him off. They're going to go single file, though, as they come down through Eau Rouge and up Radillon.
Probably the smart thing for them to all go single file through that corner the first time through in anger. And as they now fly down the Kemmel straight, Rondeau's done the best thing he could do. He's broken away from Johnson enough that Michael can't make an attack, although he's under attack from Mayorga, and Mayorga is off. He's going to get a bad slowdown penalty from that one. He spins across the track, unfortunately.
Oh, and that's Edward Nelson going for an absolute ride, tumbling head over heels here, and he is going to find himself off into the gravel, and that car is, dare I say it, totaled.
He can tow it back to pit lane and take his spare car, but man, that's going to hamper him greatly. He'll have to make an extra pit stop on top of things. So just a bad day all around. Rondeau still leads. Johnson's not giving up on this one. He's still in second and hot on his heels. Bolton now finds himself promoted to third. He's got about a second to make up to Johnson, though.
Yes, he will. He's going to have to try to close that down here at this point. But these top three starting to break away here a little bit. Johnson looks a little bit off the mark there as they come out of Fagnes, but they're going to be able to keep it together now coming down through Campus and Stavlo.
Boy, Jacob Abrams is being dropped like a rock. Yes, he's been promoted up to 4th by this point, but it's not looking good for him if he wants to try and hold on to those top 3. Oh, somebody way off in the background there. Didn't quite make out who that was. I think it may have been Dylan Scott, using up plenty of the track and then some as they now fly through Blanchimont. Scott is hot on the heels of Bacchignone. Will he have a chance to attack into the bus stop? No, he was slow through the left-hander.
He's not going to get that chance here as they start to bring themselves around. Look at Thiel, already able to gain quite a few positions. Oh, and that's going to be car around. That's Dylan Scott.
Dylan Scott now finds himself off the track in the bus stop chicane, and he'll get it going, but he falls to 11th position. Sam Mayorga, who's probably going to need to he is going to need repairs. He's got the meatball flag, unfortunately, is going to be heading into pit lane this time, or at least in a couple laps. As before we head to a replay here, let's see if Johnson's close enough, because this is a pretty good exit here, DJ.
Yeah, he's really, really closing behind here. It's down to about 1/10 of a second. You can see Rondeau going a little bit defensive down to the inside. Johnson's going to have to make this work around the outside, but later on the binders is Rondeau. He's going to be able to hold on to it for now.
Tries to cut back. This could be another good exit from that purple machine. No, doesn't try and sneak it up the inside of Malmedy. He'll stay put in P2, but definitely putting the pressure onto the 11. I think we've finally got an opportunity now to take a glance at what happened to Nelson and Mayorga and see if we can get a better look. I think that Sam just straight up outbraked himself.
Yeah, I think he did too. Just coming down into the corner, outbraked himself a little bit down there, and you see just trying to come back on, be as careful as possible, but that access road actually threw him off a little bit, and that is what sent Nelson for a ride.
Oof, yeah, that was a bad one. Sadly, he's not going to get back out on track. He's decided to end his race. Like I said, he had the spare car waiting if he wanted it, but decided that he didn't want to try and continue. And man, that was a big escape for Jacob Abrams there. He was inches away from being the 3rd victim.
Yeah, he certainly was. Abrams really, really caught out lucky here. We're going to take a look on board the top of the car right now. Just watch how close this is. There you see him coming across.
Dodges one car, weaves the other way to try to get underneath the tumbling car, and he manages it somehow and gets himself into 4th. But as we said, he was cost some time by that, and he doesn't seem to have the pace to stick with those top 3. So he's still more than 3 seconds behind them. Currently, we're only just finishing lap 2 right now. No change between Rondeau, Johnson, and Bolton, but they remain tied very closely together.
Yeah, they're still running closely here. All those top 3. Abrams trying to gather it up back a little bit here at this point. As I take a look, though, it's ebbing and flowing a little bit. Looks like it stabilized on the last lap. Only about 0.03 of a second lost by Jacob Abrams, but he is going to have to start to really bring himself up there.
I can report that Mayorga did get in the spare car. He's back out on track. He's 37 seconds behind Dylan Scott, the next car. So he's got plenty of race to try and catch him. We'll see if he can. We know that he's got the pace. Oh, Johnson just took the lead down into Lacombe. I think that may have been a straightforward slipstream pass to get that done, but a good hard work by the 9.
And very, very good work there to make that work. Rondeau trying to make a little bit of a look there going down into Brussels. That's not going to play itself out. And now Bolton's going to maybe have a little bit of a run here. I think the question is, though, for Michael Johnson, is he able to pull away? Is he able to put on the afterburners here, get out of that dirty air, and absolutely take off?
And keep it together as well and try to bring the win home. We've seen sometimes he can trip over himself when he leads the races here and has thrown away a couple good ones. But other times, he's been dominant and brought it home and even had to defend hard. Right now, looks like he is starting to get the legs. Let's take another look at that pass and see exactly how this unfolded up the Kimmel Straight.
All right, as we pull up the GSRC replay machine here at this point, this looks like a pretty straightforward draft like we saw on the previous lap. Johnson just going to be holding behind, tuck out to the outside there, going to try to be a little bit later on the binders and just sweeps around the outside. Joe, that is absolutely brilliant here from the 9 machine. He recognized exactly what Rondeau's habits were on that previous lap and just used them to his advantage.
Yeah, there was a couple times where he was close and he maybe could have been aggressive in those first couple laps, but decided to wait for a really slam dunk move, it seems, and is already a full second ahead. It hasn't even been a full lap, and he is running away from Rondeau. So Johnson has always said he races better than he qualifies, and it certainly seems to be the case here today as he now sets the fastest lap of the race with that move. So he has got the car underneath him. Also, Corey Thiel, you mentioned earlier, up 6 positions already and into 7th.
Doing a great job here at this point to really move his way forward. And he's got about 3 seconds to try to gain up to Jeff Schulem and really and truly just trying to push his way around here. I think he may very well be looking at a top 10 before this, or top 5 rather, before this is said and done.
Yeah, the mystery machine is moving, and Jeffrey Schulem is just about 3.2 seconds up the road currently. There you saw him flash at the bottom right of the screen, and that's Baccignone behind him in the green and blue as well that he passed not too long ago. Well, we're less than 10 minutes into this race. We've lost one driver. Our pole sitter, second place starter, has fallen way behind the field and is desperately trying to catch up. And the driver who started from third has taken the lead, is already scampering off into the distance.
Yeah, and he's crucially here about 1.2, 1.3 seconds away, and that is going to allow him to be able to start to break the draft here off of Marc Rondeau. Now, the other counter to that we're going to have to think of, because this is one of the endurance races for the Porsche Owners Club, they're going to have to worry about tire wear and tire conservation. The new updates that have been applied to the GT3 models at large means that these tires wear a lot more. You're going to have to come in and change tires after about an hour, and we're going to have to see what they do with this. I know, by the way, this is Cup, not GT3, but the tire models did apply to these as well.
So we'll see who is able to try and manage that strategically, try to hold on to their rubber by the time they get to the stops, which I believe these things can go about roughly an hour, if I recall, maybe a little more than that. Should be a pretty wide window for them, frankly. And fuel probably will be mainly a limiting factor on it, but we'll find out. I do wonder as well who's going to be able to keep it within the track boundaries over the course of the race. They haven't changed the incident limit for this long race. It's still 17x, and with how easy it is to overstep the bounds at this specific track, I hope the drivers are mindful of that over the course of these laps. Doug Baccignone finally had his first clean lap this last one, and we're on lap 5 right now.
Yeah, I mean, these can really stack up around here. And Joe, the interesting thing about this circuit is it's not the traditional off tracks that you think of. It's not cutting corners necessarily. It's carrying too much speed around the corners and going off track a little bit that way on the exit. Looking down at Pujol, looking down, coming up through Radion in those areas, even at the exit of Stavlo, it is very easy to just carry a little bit too much momentum and get yourself some understeer and find yourself off track.
Right now, this is Bolton versus Rondeau for second place. So Rondeau was quick over a single lap. Maybe he had a little help out there. I actually didn't check to see if he had some slipstream or something, but he's not been able to back it up in the race. And now Bolton, who qualified 4th, is also trying to hassle him to get up to P2 here as we hop on board with the yellow and black number 127. This kind of surprises me because I thought Rondeau looked like he was plenty fast, but maybe not.
Well, maybe he's doing a little bit of tire saving here at this point, just trying to maybe see if he can get that a little bit longer into the stint. We're not entirely sure what they are doing behind the wheel of the car, and it could be Michael Bolton doing the same thing here. Although the one thing he's going to have a little bit of problem with is the dirty air in front of him is actually going to make his tires wear a little bit more, so he may want to try to get up ahead if he thinks he's faster.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be held up for too long, although he falls off the back of him slightly here as they come up to Blanchimont once again. You do get a little bit of the aero wash off these machines. You can see that huge rear wing, the spoiler that they've got on the back of it, that can disrupt them somewhat, especially in those super fast corners like Blanchimont that we've got around here, but won't be as pronounced as you would in an open cockpit car. So across the line to complete lap 5 and on to lap 6 now. Because the laps are so long, we're already getting close to about 15 minutes in, even with only those 6 laps.
Yeah, it's really starting to come down here a little bit, and here they go as we watch Bolton closing up behind Rondeau once again. Now, I've been taking a look here at Michael, trying to see if he's doing a little bit of lifting and coasting down the Kemmel Straight. Now, that could save him a little bit of time on pit stops as well, as he'd be able to save a little bit of fuel. But right now, we ride on board here with Michael Johnson up at the front of the field. Looks like behind him, though, Bolton's trying for a little bit of a move. Didn't play off, but he's on the attack.
Definitely made Rondeau go defensive down there into Lacombe. And Bolton is still kind of poking and prodding here out of Malmedy as they come down into Rivage. Takes a little bit wider. Wonder if once again Rondeau just trying to shut the door as early as he can, try and dissuade that 127 car from doing anything. He's off the apex at No Name. Will this give an opportunity to a brave Bolton into Puhan? No, doesn't appear to be the case.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be the case here, but it's a hard area to try to get a pass down into Puhan. You're just carrying so much speed. We could see a little bit of a play here down into Fagnes. Let's see if he's able to do it. Not really able to do it here. Let's keep our eyes here. I've got a sneaking suspicion that he may make a move going down into the bus stop.
Yeah, if he stays this close by that point and can withstand the buffeting through Blanchimont, he's got an excellent opportunity, no doubt about that. But look, he's falling off away out of Stavelo. Yeah, that's not going to do it, unfortunately, and drops off. So looks like Bolton might have to try again a little bit later. He was very close into Lacombe last time, and he does seem to enjoy the exit off of Radillon. So I wouldn't doubt that that might be a better spot for him to maybe get this done.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like he's got the drive there at that point. Little bit of a defensive line there for Rondeau coming through the corner. You saw how he sort of kept the car over to the left a little bit. In counter to that, Bolton really took a late apex going down into the corner, trying to maximize his speed. Let's see if he does that again, although a little bit of a brake lock up there for Marc Rondeau. That could be a big harbinger here for Bolton.
Oh, he's right on top of him, less than a car length back, but he's got to hang on here coming out of Eau Rouge. Let's see, he's much tighter down to the apexes compared to Rondeau. I think this one's going to be it. He starts to reel him in as they fly up the Kemmel Straight, a long uphill climb here, all the way into the braking of Lacombe. Another defensive move from Mark as they go wheel to wheel, deeper on the brakes, too deep on the brakes for Bolton, and now he goes off the course and into the access road.
All right, he's going to have to re-rack, restack, and try this again, and he's going to have another concern, and that is the fact that Jacob Abrams, with that last lap and the off, is now within a second of him. Indeed, he's about a half second behind Bolton here at this point, so Bolton's going to have to go from full attack to full defense.
Well, as they head through No Name once again, it looks like Abrams is now, and is that yeah, that was a slowdown. Bolton having to give the time back, and now he's finally served it fully. So Abrams moves into P3. Bolton loses touch with Marc Rondeau. Does he have the pace to run him back down? And he'll have to get by the 728 before he does it.
Well, they've got plenty of time here in this race to do that, and this is one of the things about endurance racing, Joe, that you really have to sort of recalibrate your mind here to think about, is that you have to not necessarily throw the kitchen sink at the driver in front of you when you get past. It's okay if they get by you. You just have to focus on hitting your delta time and making sure you're putting in good, consistent laps, and that will keep you in contention.
I think Mark Bray may have had a problem last lap because he looked like he was about 2 seconds off. Actually, that may have been a slowdown penalty now that I look at it, because I think he's had that a couple times already over the course of this race. Mainly watching that and Mollmeyer to see how much Mayorga is catching on them, because Sam's cut it down from 37 seconds to 18 seconds. So he's definitely cutting in. But it'll be a few more laps before it becomes something as we continue to watch Bolton versus Abrams off of La Source. That's also Jad Duncan in there and the 83 behind the pair of them. Kind of giving watch, knowing that he's also got a good opportunity here to try and make positions up. Here's where Bolton has been so mighty. Ooh, he cut a lot of Eau Rouge off, though.
Yeah, really did. He's going to have to be careful. He didn't pick up a slowdown. It doesn't look like he's given away time here at this point, so I don't think he did. As now they come down into the braking zone a little bit here. Abrams able to hold ahead, only about 0.4 of a second up in front right now. Ooh, better run there coming through. Oh, of course, as soon as I say that, the commentator's curse strikes Michael Bolton, and he gets all kind of wiggly coming down through Malmedy.
So that's the second time that series of corners have caught him out. Seems to be his weakness, unfortunately. And now Jack Duncan getting ever closer to that 127. Black and yellow versus black and yellow here today. And we're not missing anything up at the front. Johnson still leads. It's about 4.5 seconds now, and he continues to increase that about 1/10 or 2 a lap at a time.
Yeah, he's just slowly but surely eking away here at this point. And once again, that's what you want to be doing in an endurance race. If you're in the lead, just look at those 1/10 of a second and look as they grow. As now we watch Duncan continuing to put some pressure behind Michael Bolton. And something that Jad's going to be keenly aware of are those mistakes that we've seen Michael make. He's going to know he's susceptible to a mistake, and I guarantee you he's going to be trying to push a little bit to make it a reality.
Like we were saying, it is an endurance race, and keeping those mistakes down will help you in the end. It's not just about that outright speed, because we've seen how fast Bolton can be here, but he's just made so many of these errors that he's gone from trying to fight for a second position to suddenly trying to keep from losing 4th place as they head down into the final chicane once again. A little bit off that second apex, but gets a good enough exit. He's going to be able to start to peel away from Jad, at least this time. There is 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They're all on your screen together. All
on your screen together, continuing to play everything out here as they work their way around the circuit. We're about 20 minutes down in this 90-minute race. This is a little farther back down in the field right now. This is Carlos Thiel, Thiel working his way around right now, and he looks like he's been able to get a move there on Baccignoni, and so Doug's going to find himself in 8th place, Thiel in 7th.
Thiel's still up by 6 positions here, but he actually has not been catching Schulem. Schulem's slightly faster than him, so this might be, unless we get some mistakes from the cars ahead, where Corey Thiel sees his progress come to a grinding halt. Now, that's not taking into account what could be a good pit stop strategy that gets him up a little bit farther in a bit. So it's a long race. A lot can happen. Doug Baccignoni is still hot on his heels, but has not been able to get close enough to try and attack. Just definitely keeping that mystery machine honest.
Yeah, certainly is at this point. And really and truly, that is one of those things that you are going to have to do is keep drivers honest if they are able to get on by you. And I like what Baccignoni's doing here. He's not really pushing too hard. We're not seeing him go outside of his limits. Thiel at this point just continuing to drive his line as well.
Plunging down through Puhan as he's followed by Doug Baccignoni. Doug is also up a single position. In fact, most of the drivers have gained spots thanks to Mayorga's trouble. And then, of course, Ed Nelson being taken out on the first lap and having to retire. Those two basically gifting the majority of the field, at least that one spot. But Rondeau has lost a position. Remember, he started on the pole and unfortunately was not able to hold back Johnson. And then Michael Bolton and Mark Bray are exactly where they began this race. So otherwise, everybody else is showing a green up arrow on my timing screen currently. Speaking of drivers losing or gaining, Mayorga is actually down to about 11 seconds now behind Momeyer. It's almost a certainty to me that he's going to be catching that number 6 before the race is over. It's going to be a bigger question mark on if he can get up to Mark Bray.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to do it, but looking at the times here, Joe, he is about 3 seconds a lap faster, call it almost 4 seconds a lap faster than John Momeyer, so that is an inevitability almost. But also looking at the lap times here with Mark Bray, he's about 0.2 of a second faster than Mayorga as well. Oh, there you see on your screen, almost 0.3 there on average. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility here for Mayorga to be able to catch his way back up. I mean, we still have an hour and 7 minutes to go in this race.
Yeah, he's got about 22 seconds to make up, but yeah, 2 seconds per lap, that'll be plenty of time. So he should be theoretically able to catch him. And then it's another 11 seconds up to Dylan Scott after that, who's definitely running a lot better pace than Bray and Momeyer. But here you see Sam Mayorga started on the front row and has had a very lonely race so far. And much to his disappointment, I'm sure, those ahead of him have not made enough serious mistakes that they've also found themselves having to make an extra pit stop. Momeyer, despite his lack of pace, has been keeping it on the black stuff.
And that's a good run here. If you're able to walk away with not picking up those incident limits, that is something you can hang your hat on. And I think for the driver of the number 6 here, that's exactly what he's looking to do. We've seen Momeyer's sportsmanship come into play as well. He's always a very courteous driver, so if he gets locked into one of those wheel-to-wheel battles, look for him to not try to do anybody dirty. He's just going to be running a good, clean race here as much as possible.
Back down through Rivage, Momeyer currently sitting, he's not within the top 10 in points, so we didn't see him. Let me check to see where he is currently. He is 17th position right now. Not often scoring many points, but he is very determined. And like you said, good sportsmanship. He is out here just to enjoy driving the car and racing as hard as he can, even if he's not in the hunt for podiums and top 5s and things like that. He just plugs away, does his thing, a little bit off the second apex of Fanyes, but he has certainly got the spirit out here. Looks like of our battles, Bolton is trying to catch back up to Abrams, and he's got it down to about a second there. But he's not there as quickly as I would have anticipated, and looking a little bit behind them. This is Corey Thiel and Doug Boccignone for 7th place, also under a second.
Yeah, we're starting to get a little bit here, and I've got to give credit to Doug Boccignone. He's just outside of that draft range on some of the long straightaways, but when he comes down into the bus stop or down really at other points on the track, he's able to just close it up just the right amount to be able to bring his way in and keep this battle alive. And they're really and truly going to be catching up here, I think, in not too much longer time to Jeff Shulam. That's him in the 371 just up the road.
Certainly, and I was saying earlier that Thiel was losing time to Shulam before, so he's suddenly upped the ante. I'm checking lap times. It does look like it was about a second slower than normal on lap 9 for Shulam. So let me see if I can find out what exactly happened there, because he may have had a cut course penalty or something there that he had to serve. I'm not seeing anything immediately on my end for the early part of the lap, because that's usually where we see that up through Eau Rouge and Radillon. But regardless, clearly something went awry for the 371 that has cost him a bit to Corey Thiel. Not enough that Corey is in a position to attack. Speaking of which, though, Boccignone has it down to 0.3 of a second now.
Yeah, he's really bringing the thunder here at this point. He's looked a little bit wiggly on this lap. The car's stepping out here and there at this point. And but now look at this. He is right up behind Thiel as they come out of Stavelo right now. This is going to be a good run.
He's going to have the slipstream. Can he do anything with it, though, as they head towards Blanchimont? Watch for this corner. One of the fastest on the track. Right now, 144 miles an hour as they fly through there. In fact, I didn't see them lose hardly any speed in these cars as they attempted that one. But no, he is not going to be able to do it this time through.
Not quite yet, but again, he's not going to have the best run there out of the bus stop. It looked like he took the apex just a little bit too late there at this point, but he should be able to get a good tow down the Kemmel Straight. Let's keep our eyes here. I think we may see a move coming at the top of the hill.
That's been the popular spot for much of this race, for most of the overtakes. If you can stay within these about 0.4 of a second, I think it's going to be doable. Here comes Eau Rouge. It switches left, switches back right, and then left again over the blind crest, cutting a lot of that curve, but it's still within bounds, and he's there. I think this is going to do it, DJ.
I think it is as well. It doesn't look like Thiel's taken too defensive of a line. He's going to stick to the outside. Boccignoni down to the inside, tries to be later on the binders. Not going to play out. Thiel's going to hold it for now.
Great stuff. Very nervy stuff there for Corey Thiel. The fact that he did not defend and yet still retained it. He knew exactly what he was doing in that moment. But now Doug Boccignoni's got a sense of how far back he needs to be to make that slipstream work. Will he make use of it better next time around?
Maybe he will. I mean, remember what we saw earlier out of Michael Johnson and Marc Rondeau. Johnson went for that move a little bit earlier, and then they certainly were able to make it play out a little bit better later on. We've got another battle, though, this between Mayorga and Mohmeyer.
He's cut it down already. Mayorga finally getting to the first driver of the race that he's seen since the very beginning, and way off the apex. So he's hesitant. He doesn't want to throw it away. He knows he's already used up one of his spare cars, and he's going to wait for a nice, solid, easy move to get by John Mohmeyer. So he's playing patient. This is probably the wise choice, I would think, DJ. He doesn't need to pass him immediately.
No, he certainly doesn't. He can just wait, and there you see out of No Name, he's going to take a look down to the inside, thought about poking back into line. Now he's just going to pull his way around, and he's going to make the move before they come into Pouhon.
Did look like Mohmeyer facilitated that one a little bit. I think he saw the writing on the wall, and he let Mayorga by with a little bit of a lift down on the straightaway towards Pouhon. So Mayorga up to 11th. He's got to make up 18 seconds to get to Mark Bray now. So still a little ways to go before he reaches that 9:46. And it looks like it is about 30-some seconds to get up to Dylan Scott as well. Half a minute to try and reach him up the road. We just about have hit the 1 hour to go mark. Our leader is still Michael Johnson in the number 9, but interestingly, it's been hovering at about 4.5 seconds for quite some time. For all the distance that he put on Marc Rondeau, I don't know if this is Michael just kind of managing it now, DJ, or if Marc Rondeau's kind of turned up the wick.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, remember what we talked about a little bit here when we talked about maybe doing some tire saving? There you can see on lap 10, Rondeau really able to cut in that gap. Not so much on the last lap. Then on lap 12, Johnson responding a little bit. So we'll have to see a little bit of that ebb and flow. We'll keep our eyes on it here. I'm not sure with this information that we have right now, Joe, what exactly it is, but I'll let you know as soon as I figure it out.
We'll have to watch those times like a hawk, because this could be a real chess match between the pair of them. Both going to be hungry to try and take that win. Rondeau only had one podium so far this season, 2 races ago, and round 4, which I believe was, Road America was when he managed that one. Nice little battle once again as we look at Boccignoni and Thiel. Oh, but Boccignoni got by him. He was behind him, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. I'm not entirely sure where he was able to make that move, but he certainly made it work, made it stick, and he now finds himself in great position here.
That happened through Pouhon. I think he went a little bit wide. So this was not long ago. This was driver error from the 255. And has given that one up after all the good work that Corey's done. I'm a bit surprised to see him throw it away like that.
I'm a little bit surprised as well. We'll have to see what they are able to do, though. Let's take a look at the replay. This is Baccignoni. Now, this is the run going down into Puhal. Let's see. Oh, that was Theo just getting a little bit squirrely there on the curbing. He tried to brake, and it just didn't exactly work out.
Interesting stuff. It's not as often that you see that in iRacing, that the curbing will upset a car under braking. Usually on corner exit or down at the apex that you'll see it mostly. As we come back to Abrams, Michael Bolton, who had to make up some time, lost about, 2-3 seconds when he had that cut course penalty, has cut it down to 0.7 of a second now. The 728 is going to watch the mirrors a little bit more if he wants this podium.
Yeah, I think he is as well. Bolton definitely putting that pressure here, just slowly but surely amping it up a little bit, seeing what he can do, trying to see what he's going to be able to get. He's closing that gap down under 0.7 of a second. Now it looks like, though, Thiel's been able to get back around by Baccignoni.
Used the slipstream. It only lost the position for less than a full lap, and he is back into P7. So you were talking about this earlier, DJ, and don't panic. If you lose the spot, you got chances to get it back.
Yeah, exactly. You've got plenty of time to be able to get that position back here. Doug's just got to buckle on in and see if he's going to be able to play that little bit of a swap around that we've been seeing between these two the whole time.
Corey'd probably love to run away from him at this point, though. He was chasing Schulem, and for a while he looked like he was getting close, but it's suddenly gone awry. He's still within about 3 seconds of that 371 car. In fact, yeah, there you see on the screen down into Fanyes how close he is, as, well, he botches the first apex of that turn and the second one to boot. Doesn't lose the position, but it's becoming a bit sloppy for that 255.
Yeah, it's just looking a little bit scruffy here, and I think that's part of the pressure because that Baccignoni's putting on him, that he just has to look in his rear view mirror here a little bit too often, and that's really and truly going to throw him around a little bit. Let's see, though, if Baccignoni's able to get a good run here coming down through the corners into Blanchimont. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough to make the pass down to the bus stop, but let's see.
Yeah, he's a little too far away. Just went kind of wide there out of Blanchimont. Gave it up. Oh, wow, he's deep into the corner and regains a ton of it, though. Better exit from Corey Thiel despite spinning the tires up. He stretches back away from Doug Baccignoni. Real ebb and flow in this battle, and it's been a fascinating one.
Yeah, it really and truly has. I mean, these guys just absolutely duking it out here at this point, and this is our closest battle out on track, and it's really and truly proving itself to be pretty interesting. The other thing that's going to be interesting about this, Joe, is looking in the background here. That's that's Dylan Scott, only about 1.5 seconds behind. He could enter into this, and we can make this a 3-car fight before everything's said and done.
Absolutely. I'm pretty impressed with Dylan Scott, I must say. He's been having a decent race out there, up 2 spots from where he qualified, and has just been very, very consistent. The majority of his laps are all in the 22s. He's only had a couple that have been outside of that range, and that served him extremely well. If those two do start to battle, he's going to be up and involved in this in a hurry.
Yeah, he really and truly is. And for Dylan here, what he really needs to do is just calm down. It can be a huge temptation when you see those drivers super close in front of you and you know they're fighting to push like none other and really try to gain back up on them. But the truth of the matter is you've got to just be consistent. We've got a nice little battle, though, here between Abrams and Bolton.
Wonder if it was a mistake from Abrams, because last I looked, he was not this close at all. They were about a second apart, and as he comes around the outside of Stavilo, that's not going to stick. Oh, but he's going to try as he swings it way off into the paved runoff. That's going to be one of his incident points sucked up right there, but it gives him the speed that he needs. He's going to be brave once again, looking to the inside up to Blanchimont. No, he second guesses himself.
Second guesses himself. He's going to back out of it. I certainly think that is a good call. Now he's going to have a little bit of a look going down into the bus stop. Going to get on the binders there. Little bit of a lockup. I'm not sure if that was from Abrams or if that was from Bolton, but one way or the other, this battle is certainly on.
Going to go back and check as we stick with this and see what brought him close to him. think it was a mistake into Fanye's. Yeah, just went deep into the corner. It was nothing really that was wild or anything, just a very basic mistake, as I believe, Baccignone has now pit in.
Well, we are over the halfway point, and remember, these cars do go about 55 to 65 minutes worth of fuel, and so that may just be a scheduled stop here for Baccignone. Get out of that big problem, get out of that fight, and just put yourself back out on track in some clean air and set some good lap times.
Yeah, he was having to go back and forth with Corey. Maybe he was thinking about Dylan Scott. As things are tight down into Lacombe there between this pair. Will he have a go at it at Rivage? He was really considering it, but then decided it wasn't for the best. So yeah, I wonder if Doug Baccignone was trying to think 2 steps ahead of his rivals.
I certainly think that could be the case here, and it's not something... there's a little bit of a poke for Michael Bolton on the run down into Pujol. Is he going to try this again, Joe?
No, once again, although he's given space at the apex, he scares Jacob Abrams off the racing line, and Bolton still can't get it done. Oh, this is getting a little frantic. He's got to try and watch out, because we've already seen Bolton make a couple hiccups, DJ. If he actually spins it off track or makes contact at some of these high-speed turns, that could really be costly.
Yeah, and you really and truly don't want to be putting yourself into a position where you're going to get into that problem. I like what I saw there out of Jacob Abrams coming through Pujol, giving him space on the line, not being super defensive. But here again, Bolton's got a great run. He's going to try to make this move into the left-hander. Let's see if he can hold it.
He's down to the inside, but he decides to lift before they get to Blanchimont. Seems like this game of chicken has still been going to Jacob Abrams pretty consistently. Jacob doing fantastic by giving him space, but honestly not backing down and forcing him to work for it.
Yeah, really making him work for it here at this point, and that's kind of exactly the perfect thing here for Jacob Abrams to do as they continue to work their way around. Bolton needs to try to get the best run he can get here, though, off of La Source, and it looks like he's got it. A little bit of a narrower line, but he's able to keep up the speed.
Let's see what the Kemmel Straight holds for the pair of them as they look for the turn in down into Eau Rouge. Both of them cutting as far into it as they can over the curb and up on the crest. This is great from Bolton. He's got a fantastic run. Abrams tries to weave to break the slipstream, does not take a defensive line though, and as they come up into the braking zone, almost a nose ahead briefly for Bolton. Abrams fights back, but he can't make the corner. That's it, and Bolton has third once again.
All right, now he's got to keep it, and I think crucially here, though, for Abrams, he's got to watch out. Chad Duncan's only about a second behind him. Abrams can't afford to wallow here in his misery of losing that position. He has got to keep on it.
Chulum has lost his pace. That or Corey Thiel's picked his up, because suddenly he's right there. There's been no slowdown penalty or anything major. The laps look very consistent from Chulum, but he's just not fast, and Corey Thiel is now right on top of that rear spoiler.
Yeah, on the last 2 laps, on lap 15, it looks like Chulum lost about 0.8 of a second. On lap 16, call it 1.7, so I think there may have been a little bit of a bobble there, but we'll have to see. Nevertheless, we're going to see how Chulum is going to respond here to pressure from behind.
Now that Corey's got a chance, he's been hovering at the 6 gained mark. He lost it briefly to Doug Baccignone. He's probably wanted to get more than these 6 and keep climbing his way forward. Can he do it? It's a long gap up to Chad Duncan in front of them. So again, going to be difficult for him to do anything from here, but we'll see as they come around out of Stavolo, both of them sliding it off the corner using the edge of grip on these Cup cars. He's there or thereabouts, but he'll need a brave move to do it into the bus stop.
Yeah, going to need a very brave one, especially considering he's about 0.2 of a second behind. I think Chulum may have gone a little bit off track there, but he's going to be able to hold down to a defensive line coming into the bus stop. They both jump on the binders there, going to keep things together. Let's see if either of them peel off down pit lane. No, but that was not a good corner, and almost looping it there was Thiel.
I was going to say it almost looked like for a second that he was going down into the pits because he was very wide. They just couldn't get the car to turn in correctly and had to struggle to save it. So all that hard work has to be done over again to catch up to Jeffrey Shulam. Still, only Baccignone has taken the scheduled stop. Mayorga's taken his spare car, but a single driver has finished their pit stop and is able to run to the finish from here. Everybody else stays out and is rolling.
Yeah, everybody's going to keep on here, and I would expect them to be able to go until about 30 minutes left to go in the race. That's about where we will see that pit stop window officially close. Some of these drivers running the tanks dry here at this point. Others, like Doug Baccignone, opting to run dry only at the end of the race.
So, bit of an unusual strategy compared to what we usually see in tin top racing and iRacing. Most drivers tend to run it out, then take their stop and try to run with less fuel. But Doug likes the idea of trying to stop a little early, catch his rivals out since he can now run on his own, although he is going to have to pass Momeyer soon, so that could hold him up. But as we've seen, Corey Thiel's been in his own fight, making his own mistakes. So let's give this 1 second here to see if he's close enough to try and make a move down into Fanye's, but nope, Corey Thiel can't quite get to Jeff Shulam yet. Before we get to those pit stops, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll come back with more action here on the Global Sim Racing Channel for round 6 of the Porsche Owners Club Series.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
There's a bear in the woods.
Right, come on, you fatty. Come on, fatty.
I don't even know who lives in there or what the hell's going on there.
Could I sleep in there today? Oh, no room.
And we're on the way there. Ignore the fart. We go, and a bit of that, and a bit of...
You know.
Sangers, James, Sangers I've got.
My pedal broke, man. And thanks to Showdown Bros, Mickey's on the most useless street in the world. Come on!
Always keep a shoe in your kitchen department, guys. Don't worry, it's the COVID talking. It's probably wild boar, a few bears, a lot of women washing their cars saying hi on the side of the road.
Go on, Mick, feel it, Mick, feel it, feel it.
I might be going mad.
Want to see me underwear?
Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps, round 6 of the Porsche Owners Club Series. Corey Thiel you might notice, is now in 12th position as Michael Johnson leads the way, as he has done since the early laps. He had to overtake Rondeau for that one. Corey Thiel, though, who were following that great battle between himself and Jeff Schulam, well, it unceremoniously ended shortly after we left with an accident that did send him into pit lane. He took his scheduled stop and his free repair in the process. But I think we do have a replay of what happened. This one out of Stavolo, and you often talk about the pendulum effect with this car, and I wonder if that's what came what happened to him here, DJ.
Yeah, let's take a look. He's holding on behind. Yep, that's exactly what it is, Joe. Just a little bit too much speed coming out of the corner. The rear end just wanted to step out on him there a little bit, and he just couldn't get the car gathered up back underneath him. Unfortunately, made a little bit of contact there with the outside wall just for good measure, and then coming down to the bus stop, a big lock up there, and that car clearly damaged.
And we just now had another incident. Jacob Abrams now just went off. Looks like we've got the replay. This was in Rivage, and looks like a very similar incident where he just outbraked himself. We've been seeing a lot of that here. In fact, seems... And now we've got another off where both Thiel and Momeyer find themselves going deep into the bus stop chicane. So Corey not having a good time at that final turn.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers here having that problem. I think we're going to see more and more of it, Joe, as these tires continue to wear away here at this point. That was a little bit aggressive there for Corey Thiel, making the move down to the inside of Eau Rouge on Momeyer.
Going a bit Mark Webber there, trying to make a pass at the bottom of Eau Rouge, and he actually made it work. Momeyer trying to give way, not willing to try and risk the car. It goes back into 12th position. Corey Thiel must be pretty fired up then to not be willing to wait until he gets up to the Kimmel Straight to make that one happen. So now that we've hopefully got a chance of things calming down, Johnson leads, as you saw a moment ago. Rondeau is actually in second. He was our pole sitter. He lost that lead on about lap 3 or 4 of this race. Bolton is back up into third after Abrams' mistake. Well, actually, I think he did pass Abrams on track, and then Abrams lost further positions with his mistake, I should say, because Duncan now, Jad Duncan in the 83, is in the 4th position. On screen here, though, this is the car of Dylan Scott that has moved up 4 positions now that we've seen a couple drivers make further errors and have to make pit stops and have to take their spare cars. Actually, Dylan Scott has caught up to Jeffrey Schulam. Scott's looking mighty quick.
Yeah, certainly is. He's got some good speed here at this point, trying to bring his way up through the field. He's been putting down some good lap times here, Joe, at 2:20.07, his best time. That is much better than Schulam up ahead of him.
Okay, so keep an eye on that man. He might have something for the rest of the field if he keeps plugging away like this. Speaking of plugging away, why don't we give a little love to Sam Mayorga again? Starting from second on the grid, he was involved in a wreck on lap 1, sadly, with Ed Nelson, who is DNF'd. Sam was able to carry on by getting his spare car on that lap, but that put him basically half a minute down from anybody else, not just the leader, but from the next car up. He's still about a minute away from the leaders, but he's slowly been kind of picking them off. It's brought him up to 9th place, and not sure if we have a wide enough shot that we'll see it. But Mark Bray is within sight of him. There he is.
Yeah, Bray starting to close down as well. We could have a nice little battle here starting to bring its way around as everybody keeps to go. 40 minutes left to go in this race. I certainly do think that we are going to have this be a real cracker here in the final 40 minutes. And don't forget, Joe, we still got those pit stops to fire off on.
Pit stops are another variable where things can go wrong. You can be caught speeding, you can overshoot your pit stall, maybe you don't have the right settings for your pit stop. Thankfully, actually, though, iRacing has done a fantastic job by recently introducing a feature. I think, actually, I need to check if it's on these cars. Do they have the auto fuel feature on these cars?
That I'm not sure on, Joe. They just added that in here on the latest build. I will do a little bit of research, see if I can find out if they did add it or not.
I started saying it, and then I remembered, oh yeah, it was limited in which cars it was put on. So we'll let DJ double check on that, see if that is involved. If so, that'll make life a lot nicer for them, because basically iRacing will do the calculations and the drivers can decide how safe or aggressive they want to be on the closeness of what those calculations decide can make to the end of the race. This man, Michael Johnson, who's been racing in real life, usually has somebody else make those calculations. But today it looks like he's basically got enough free time to his hands that he could maybe try and do those calculations and figure it out, since he's had no pressure since he made that overtake, and he's gotten it up to 9 seconds ahead of Marc Rondeau. Just been smooth sailing up till now.
Yeah, he has just been absolutely running around here in good, clean track, good, clean air. He is going to be very, very happy. He may find himself coming up against Marc Rondeau here on the lapped car before too terribly long, but I think he may come down to the pit lane before that ends up happening.
Down through Blanchimont once again for him. Been another one who's been mighty consistent. Every single lap, except for his first lap, has been in the 22s or the 21s. His quickest is a 21.0. Doesn't get him any bonus points to have the fastest lap, but it's significantly faster, 0.8 of a second faster than Marc Rondeau currently.
Yeah, he's working his way around. And by the way, Joe, I can confirm auto fuel is enabled in the Porsche 911 Cup car.
Ah, there you go. So that eases the load on them mentally. Meanwhile, this is the battle between second place and third place. Bolton has caught back up with Rondeau. It took him a long time, but he's done it. It may have been helped by the fact that Rondeau was 2 seconds slower last lap. Maybe he had some sort of slowdown penalty, but whatever the case, I don't think Bolton's going to look a gift horse in the mouth.
I don't think he will either. He's going to keep pushing here. He's going to be right in that draft coming down the Kemmel Straight. He'll be able to push here at this point. As we've sort of said earlier on in the broadcast, don't think any of these drivers are doing any clutching and coasting. It looks like it's pretty flat out run for all of them. And now he's just got to put the pressure here to the back of Marc Rondeau.
Yeah, we just haven't seen enough cars that are in the big packs to really merit, I think, the fuel-saving maneuver. Everybody's going for ultimate speed out here, trying to see if they can catch Michael Johnson. If Bolton can, he's made life hard for himself, because remember, he was hassling Rondeau way earlier, and we thought he was the quicker car. So far, it's looking like he may have proven that to be true. But again, it's now what was, maybe about a 4-second gap last time he was behind Rondeau. It is 11 seconds up to Johnson.
Yeah, certainly is. So we're going to have to see how this plays itself out as they continue to go, working their way now down through Fagnes as they continue to push, as they continue to go. Waiting to see. I agree with you, Joe. 11 seconds. If these drivers want a chance at the top step of the podium, they're going to have to push it. They are going to have to not fight here, and they're going to have to boogie.
Somebody's going to have to get going and pick the pace up. I don't think it's going to be Rondeau, unless he's been hiding a lot there in terms of his pace. 11 seconds lost is not just managing your tires, I would think. That's genuine that Johnson has been able to gap him. He's guarding the inside. He doesn't feel safe down into the bus stop. Is he pitting in maybe? No. He genuinely felt afraid enough that he thought Bolton was going to attack.
Yeah, and that's not a good indication here for Marc Rondeau. If he's being forced off his line like that, that can really give some good impetus here for Michael Bolton, because he'll then know that he can cause that car in front of him to go offline, make a little bit of an error.
I thought maybe, because we've seen both in the real world and here in the sim, drivers getting tangled trying to pit when someone was attempting a pass and just didn't expect him to duck across like that. So I wondered if maybe Rondeau was just going to try and cover that off so that he could take his pit stop. But no, it was not to be. It's not close enough for Bolton. He's going to have to get a little bit closer for a pass into Lacombe on this one. So that didn't quite work out, but it's certainly giving Rondeau something to think about.
Yeah, it certainly is, as they run right now, trying to see if he's going to be able to hold it off. You know, I wonder here if this could be a situation where Bolton is just going to wait until the last possible minute, make the pass, and then dive on into pit lane, Joe. Normally, that's what we see out a lot of these drivers, is you have that wait and see, then you know your fuel numbers are hit, you know your tires are hit, and you boogie.
That's a good point. Yeah, this could be the patience game as we're getting close to that hour mark. So we expect we should be reaching the end of the pit window soon, and a lot of cars heading in. Oh, what's happened to Abrams here? Side by side, Scott goes through, and Schulem does as well.
Here they go down into the corner. Yeah, Schulem going to be able to get on by. Looked like a mistake there out of Abrams. Maybe his tires are shot.
Possibly. Whoa, way off track. Creative use of the racing line there for Dylan Scott. Maybe trying to get aggressive to see if he can go by Schulem, but that's not going to count if he manages to make that overtake, just carrying on wide through there. Jacob Abrams, yeah, has just been kind of unfortunately making a bit of unfortunate mistakes, and that's cost him what was a podium at one point. Now he's even outside of the top 5 as we come back to Corey Thiel, still in 11th, and down the hill now that he's passed John Momeyer.
Yeah, so he's going to be on by Thiel. Remember, has made that pit stop. We're hearing maybe that was a drive-through for Corey?
Yeah, the lap was blanked out. Well, that happens whenever you have a black flag from the sim. So he must have hit that incident limit. He's already had so many troubles over the course of this race. And into pit lane comes Jad Duncan from 4th place. That's one of the higher drivers.
All right, so this is going to maybe be the indication here that pit stops are officially open. We are at the 57, almost 58-minute mark here in this race. And so that does mean that, remember, we were looking at about 55 to 65 minutes being the maximum fuel on these Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars, the 992s. But I'll tell you what, here we've got a great run from Dylan Scott on Schulem.
It all seems to happen at once, because this is side-by-side just after Bolton and Rondeau went side-by-side into this very corner. But Dylan Scott has got the straight line speed, and he is through. Schulem gets demoted to 5th. Bolton and Rondeau stay in position. No, they're not in position anymore. Bolton has gotten by. This was down into Ravage. It was a long time coming, and at a spot we've rarely seen this race.
Yeah, Ravage, not normally an area where you're able to get an overtake done. It's such a kind of awkward medium speed corner as you go. Just an amazing move from Bolton.
Never seems to fail. We can get a race where everything's kind of boiling to something, and then it all explodes at the same time. We just don't have enough cameras to get it all up on the screen. So Michael Bolton back into 2nd, but he has to really try and keep it nailed down this time. He's slipped off the island a couple times over that last stint, and he's got the speed. We've seen how fast he can be, but he's got 11, almost 12 seconds to make up. So is 2nd place really the best he can do?
Well, I'm looking at his best lap time, and he's about 0.5 of a second off of Michael Johnson's best. So as it goes right now, I think that's going to be a little bit difficult here for Michael Bolton, unless, Joe, he comes on in, gets that fresh set of boots, and is able to find some great time as a result of it.
So because of Duncan pitting, we've got a big gap between these two and Dylan Scott now. Duncan returns in 9th spot, a little bit behind Mayorga and ahead of Doug Baccignone critically. Momeyer still back there. Corey Thiel, of course, has been set back yet again because of his black flag. So it's all a little jumbled up out there. Everybody's kind of on their own strategy, including Jacob Abrams. I'm curious to see if he's going to ditch those tires in this stop.
Well, remember, you can now take tires simultaneously with taking fuel. The only caveat to that is, Joe, is that if these drivers are taking a longer or a shorter pit stop here because they've only got about 30 minutes left to go, it may not be full service, and you may be waiting a little bit longer to take tires. As we take a look at Abrams, he's not up on the jacks. He's not taking tires.
Yeah, so he's going to stick with them. I guess he does not want to deal with the cold tires from here, as everybody else carries on past him. Bolton pulling away. It's now a second ahead of Rondeau, so he's turning up the wick, trying to see if he can put some distance. So maybe it was separate. Interesting stuff. Usually there's not a delay on the tires if they take them, unless they can't take tires and fuel at the same time. Not sure if maybe that rule was changed or something. That's very strange.
I wonder if it's a rule specific to the Porsche Cup car, Joe. We talk about being able to take those tires and fuel simultaneously on the GT3 models. We haven't really gotten a chance to see all that much of the Porsche Cup car doing it, so I wonder if that's the change.
Could be. So interesting. Yeah, that makes so much more sense to me. I would think that he would want tires, and I'm glad that he took them because he was struggling. And it was about a second and a half slower than Baccignone. Or no, excuse me, way slower. I was looking at Jad Duncan's. So Jad Duncan's was slightly slower. Abrams was 7 seconds slower than the others.
Wow, that is a very, very long stop, as now Rondeau comes down into pit lane, as does John Momeyer. So 2 more drivers here taking their stops. Joe, I wouldn't be surprised if we see everybody coming in on this next lap.
Was Momeyer being caught? No, he wasn't. He had an off trying to make his way into pit lane. He missed it somehow and went into the grass. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Not sure how he managed to do that. Rondeau hits his stall and takes his service. I think this might be the replay of Momeyer. Here we go.
All right, so coming down into the braking for the bus stop. Just missed his braking zone there.
But he goes off the other side. Watch this. Nope. He keeps it out of the wall. That's got to be embarrassing, though. Misses it on both sides.
Oh, he's just trying to even it out, a little bit of yin and yang there. Make sure everything is in perfect balance with one another.
He does make it into pit lane, thankfully without damaging the car. Doesn't need to take that spare, but it was available if he needed it. Rondeau, is he going to have a quick stop in comparison? Others doing 44s, 43s. A 45, slightly slow for the number 11, unfortunately.
Slightly slow here for Rondeau. Is that going to hurt him in that battle with Bolton? And I stand corrected here. We're seeing a couple of drivers staying out a little bit longer. No, excuse me. It looks like now
Abrams.
Abrams is around.
And I think this is a secondary incident. I think he's already been dealing with some damage, we're hearing. Coming out of Fanyees, he had a connection with the wall. No, it was out of Pouan, I think. I think he lost it. We've already seen a lot of drivers go wide, and there's a big curb that can upset the car. Let's see, DJ, if that's exactly what happened here. Yep. There it is.
Yep, you called it to a T there, Joe. Just took a little bit too much speed. Remember how I talked about those off tracks that you can pick up by picking up understeer around these corners? Well, that is the ultimate danger of picking up that off track, is going out a little bit wide. And now I stand corrected, as it does look like Michael Johnson's going to continue on for another lap.
Okay, so a bit wider of a fuel tank than we thought. Whoa, that was close to the wall there from Michael Bolton, who is going to take his pit stop, trying to maximize his pit entry, and just about paid the price for going too hard on it.
Yeah, big time at paying the price there, but he was able to gather back up under him. Let's see if we've got some drivers farther back down in the field. Yes, indeed we do. Dylan Scott going to come on into the pits here at this point.
Okay, so Dylan Scott definitely makes it a little cleaner. Shulam's going to carry on. He'll briefly move into second place with other drivers pitting in. We do still need Mark Bray to make a pit stop. And I think Mayorga has yet to make his scheduled stop. Yes, he's been in once, but that was to take a spare car and was not within the pit window from what we know about the fuel mileage, unless he's done something incredible and has just been cruising to try and get to the finish on a very early stop. This is Mayorga on your screen, and he's going to stay out this time. However, behind him, Bray is going to be pitting in.
All right, is there. We see Dylan Scott taking a fresh set of tires as it looks like Bolton is going to be back out and on his way. Now, where is he going to come out in relation to Rondeau? Almost next to each other, less than 0.4 of a second the gap.
It was slower for Rondeau, about a 1.5 second difference between them. So this helped out Rondeau in a big way as Bolton is now under threat. And here we go as they go side by side, coming up the Kimmel Straight, almost banging doors, got to stay out of each other. They're 160 miles an hour as they fly up the straight, deeper on the binders. Rondeau has the position now.
And that is fresh tires, warm tires, up to temperature coming into play. He just knew he could lean on the front of that car a little bit more, Joe, and played it to perfection.
Wow, worked out beautifully. The undercut apparently is the way to go for this one, to get out there, get the tires up to temp, and snag it. Michael Johnson is in this time, so 28 laps seems to be the most we've seen anybody go, unless Schulem can somehow make it go just one more.
Yeah, let's see. I can't imagine that Jeff is going to be able to make that work for one more lap, but here is Michael Johnson coming down into pit lane. Now, he will be near the end of the pits. He's going to come to rest in his stall, nice and easy, and here he is getting service.
Schulem's just approaching pit lane now. Will he be in? Yep, that's him heading into pit lane. So, yeah, 28 laps. Looks like the max. As everybody barring Mayorga, who is on lap 26 since his last pit stop, is still out there. Looks like Johnson also taking tires. Nobody was nearly close enough to be jumping him here, so don't anticipate this being any sort of concern for him as long as it's a standard stop.
And it looks like he's going to be up on the jacks here at this point, so taking tires as we suspected for a lot of these other drivers, and now he is going to be out and on his way.
43 seconds, a very quick stop for him. In fact, I think that is, no, it's not the quickest. Mark Bray had 42.1. It's the only driver to go faster than him in his pit stop. Schulem also exits and returns to the track. Wait, Schulem was in for 15 seconds.
That can't be right.
No, there's no way.
No, I mean, we've seen some pretty unorthodox strategies here out of these drivers, but a 15-second stop compared to everybody else doing what's varying between 43 and 45 seconds, that has got to be something wrong.
Maybe this is fuel only and he didn't take tires? That's the only thing I can think that he's going for. He's 4.5 seconds ahead of Rondeau and about 5.5 ahead of Michael Bolton, maybe 6 ahead of Michael Bolton. After that, Jed Duncan is a long ways back. So as long as he can keep the pace up, he could still only lose these 2 spots, which I think is where he was before, if I'm not mistaken. So you know what? I actually kind of like this if this is what he's doing, if it's a no-tire stop what did this for him.
Yeah, I mean, if it plays out and he's able to control the car and keep it underneath him, more power to him. We'll have to talk to him about it. My only concern here is that Rondeau coming up behind him on fresh rubber, he's going to have a lot of speed, and I don't know with an old set of tires if you're going to be able to maintain a 4.5 second gap over 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's the big question mark. But like I said, if he loses both of those positions, those 2 positions, it's either going to be a gain or he comes out even. So it's kind of I think there's no downside, which makes sense why he would try something like this, which is so counter to what everybody else is doing. Because at worst, the worst thing that could happen is if he could wreck it because the tires are too shot and he loses control. But I mean, yeah, I say go for it. Give it a try. And you could find yourself a second place finish here today. By the way, Mayorga came out in 9th place now that his pit stop is done. To tell you how much damage that opening wreck did to his race, despite Corey Thiel having his own accident, having an extra drive-through penalty, Corey's still ahead of Sam.
Absolutely remarkable. It really goes to show you the pace that Corey has in that 255. And it's a 7.5 second gap. It is a big, big gap.
Yeah, and we know that Mayorga is pretty darn fast. So he's been doing a good race up to this point. In fact, I don't think, other than that opening incident, that we've seen any major spins or anything out of that 183. So yeah, that was just a really painful opening mistake there for Sam Mayorga, where he was looking at a potential podium and it is instead just barely going to be inside the top 10 and could maybe catch Thiel if the pace is enough, but it's going to be a tough ask as we check in with Mayorga there on your screen, breaking down into the bus stop. Yeah, about 7 seconds, as you mentioned, from him to the 255 machine. So he's not really even within visual, except maybe, yeah, just about here. Yeah, that's about as much as he'll see of him, just disappearing around the corner.
Yeah, and I've got to give credit here, though, as we watch the 183 bringing his way through right now. Mayorga trying to be able to claw his way back up at this point. It's tough, Joe. It's really tough when you see a car that far down the road from you to try to be able to do it. But I give Mayorga credit here for just keeping on, keeping on.
Yeah, especially we saw Ed Nelson. He gave up the race despite having the opportunity to get back out there. So it still is a matter of having to put your mind to it and just not throw the towel in, even though you could easily say there's nothing worth racing for, and they could be valuable points. By the way, I've gone back with Jeffrey Shulam, and I can confirm that he did not take any tires. So no tire stop for him compared to pretty much all of his rivals. In fact, every single other car has taken tires.
Well, Joe, remember how we said that he was going to have to hold on to that gap? Look at it here at this point. It's 8.9, almost 9 seconds there for Shulam. Closing down to Michael Johnson, but Rondeau crucially has been able to close up. It's now down to 1.8 seconds. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold on to this second place position. I really, really doubt it, but I think he's going to be able to maintain that top 4, and that will be a net gain from this strategy.
Now, he did have his first flying lap after that pit stop. It was at 22.9. Rondeau's running 21, low 21s. So yes, it looks like he's not quite going to have the pace to hold him off, but it's not looking too bad in comparison, considering how old those tires are. Bolton also running 21.3s, it appears, after his pit stop. So probably going to wind up catching him, but I'm sure we'll see a good fight out of that 371. Considering we've got 16 minutes to go, and that's going to make, I believe, about 7 laps.
I'm going to trust you on that math, Joe, because that is out of my pay grade to do that math necessarily. But we watch Shulam right now coming down through Jackie Ickx. The gap coming down again. Rondeau only 1.1 second behind. He may just be within draft range by the time they get down into Blanchimont.
Yeah, he's chipping away pretty fast. I have to confess, I did a little cheat early in the race when they hit that 15-minute mark. I looked at it, and I made a mental note that was 7 laps. I don't know why I did it, but it came in handy just now. So that's the only reason that I know that it's going to be around that 7-lap mark for these guys. Look at how fast Rondeau is just plugging away at that gap. It's down to 0.9 of a second. He's going to have the slipstream, but I don't think it's close enough for a pass into Blanchimont.
No, I don't think it is either. He is going to get that slipstream. I'd watch for this going down the Kemmel Straight. I think that's where it's going to play out.
Yeah, surely that's got to be enough that he's going to catch him. and try and make an attempt on it under the braking. Much fresher rubber there for Rondeau. Wow, he gained about 0.4 of a second. Oh, but he loses it all as he comes off the corner and spins the tires up. That's the sort of breath of fresh air that Schulem was hoping for.
Yes, it was, and here we go. Now Rondeau's going to have to worry about an attack coming from behind from Michael Bolton,
which will also help Schulem. If he can get those two to bicker, that will help him out because they'll slow each other up. But the question is Bolton willing to try and risk a chance at a second place just to try and to battle here with that number 11 car, especially so late on? If I was that yellow and black number 127, I'd use Rondeau to catch up to Schulem and maybe battle once we've gotten by him.
Yeah, I would try to do the same thing, but if you try to tell a racing driver to take it a little bit easy, well, you're going to have more luck holding a full thing of water in your hands as they try to lead themselves around right now. We'll have to see how they do, though.
All right. As they plunge down through Rivage, she's made up the time very quickly. It's back down to 0.4 of a second. Rondeau's not letting that slow him down, but it also means that Bolton is within 0.4 of a second of him. He can see him in the mirrors. He can see him in his relative box, knowing that he's going to have to make this a decisive move, because if he has another slip up, no doubt Bolton's going to pounce.
Yeah, exactly. And there you can see a little bit of a look from Rondeau, looking down to the inside, just trying to see if he's going to be able to get that move, trying to force Schulem off the line a little bit. It's here they run, now trying to see what they are able to do.
I have bad news for fans of Sam Mayorga. The day just got worse. He just got a black flag for too many incidents. He's going to have to come in and serve it. In fact, he's been out there for 2 laps now. He's on his 3rd lap. I think he has 1 or 2 more that he can do, including this one. Not including this one, actually. So, yeah, so he's essentially got 1.5 right here. I believe he can go. Otherwise, he will be DQ'd, which maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe he's just deciding let's run the race until they park me, because at this point maybe he's just fed up with this one.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think he could be a little bit fed up, and I've been in that position, Joe. It's no fun. It's no fun at all to be in that spot and just feeling yourself a little bit rough around the edges, you know?
Out of La Source once again. Schulem's not giving it up yet, but this time he didn't slip up coming out of the final corner. Rondeau could make the overtake into Lacombe unless we see Schulem successfully defend here. Let's see. Oh, he was way wide. Does he have a slowdown penalty? No, he does not, but he is still slow as he covers late. That forces Rondeau into the grass. He's going to keep his foot in it, and as he tries to break later, coming into Lacombe, he's got the spot. Another defense from Schulem, clear around the outside. Bolton, 2 positions down for Jeffrey Schulem in 1 move. That has got to be a little bit gutting.
Yeah, and that's exactly what can happen if you are not running on that fresh rubber. It'll just come back to bite you. Schulem down 2 spots. Now he's just got to try to hold on here. 18 seconds back to Jad Duncan. That should be enough to hold on.
Yeah, I think he's got the pace. Duncan's running 22, low 22s, it looks like. So Schulem in the high 22s, low 23s, probably is going to be able to keep it at arm's length from here. It was a valiant effort. Schulem's still up 4 spots from where he began, though, so he should feel pretty good about that. Other hard charger this race is Dylan Scott, up 5 from where he began at this stage in that number 08.
Yeah, Scott having a pretty good race out there as well, as now they continue to go. And we've got a nice little battle here between Rondeau and Bolton. Bolton tired of waiting around. He wants that 2nd place.
Remember, this was the fight that we saw pretty much in the first 10 laps of this race before Michael Bolton unfortunately gave away a lot of time. Did he touch the grass on the way in there? My goodness, he looked loose.
Looked very loose indeed, but now Bolton's going to try to push his way to the outside. Oh, taking a little bit of a narrower line there. That could set him up for success.
Yeah, I think he outbraked himself, and Bolton knows it. He gets the better run, but he's going to be on the outside into La Source. Could get another cutback here. Defense from Marc Rondeau as they fly into that hairpin. Tries to come around, but can't get the over-under. Didn't work there. He is still mighty close, and oh my goodness, is he going to try and force the issue into Eau Rouge? He thinks about it, but then decides no.
He's going to hold it back here at this point. Probably a good move there for him, but now he's going to get a great run over the hill, and here comes the attack.
I think he's got a good shot at this. Once again, Rondeau's going to try and make him work hard for it. Round the outside, Michael Bolton did it over Shulam. Is he going to do it over Rondeau? Yes, he is. Twice. He makes the move. This time it gives him second place.
A great job there. Now the question's going to be is if Marc Rondeau is able to find anything off. Rondeau's off!
He overshot it. He just went a little hot off the corner. Maybe goosed it too much. That gives up the third place back to Shulam.
Everything swapping and swapping around here right now in this battle for P2. My goodness.
And unfortunately, that contact with the wall, that off track, puts Marc Rondeau with a drive-through. He has to go down pit lane. It's been a frustrating lap for Rondeau. Up to second place, only to find himself now likely to fall out of the top 5.
You hate to see that coming to bear here for these drivers. Just an absolute heartbreak here for Marc Rondeau. I don't know how far this is going to put him down in the field here, Joe, but it's not going to be good.
By the way, Mayorga did serve his penalty. He's not going to try and DQ himself. He falls to 9th place and too far back from Corey Thiel, unless Corey has a major error to hope to try and pass him. Can Michael Johnson keep this one from spinning or having some sort of his own major error? He's got a gap of about 14.8 seconds over Michael Bolton. Now that Michael, well, the 127 Michael, has have made that hard work to finally get second place. He's wanted it for a long, long time. It took him pretty much the entire race, but now he's done it, and he has basically run out of time of trying to catch up to Michael Johnson. There you see the penalty being served by the 11 car.
And there you can actually see on the right-hand side of your screen, that was Chad Duncan coming out of the bus stop right now. He should, I think, beat Rondeau out here to the line, although this is going to be close.
Wow, I thought that he was going to lose that spot, and no, he will not. And Rondeau is within about 2 seconds of Duncan now, but he's had better pace than him. So I think he should be mostly okay. They can get more penalties after that, though. It's every 10 incidents. He'd have to run a very sloppy final couple laps here because we're less than 10 minutes to go, though.
Yeah, he's going to have to be really, really scruffy here. 17 minutes and 15 seconds left to go as they run. This is going to be our closest battle. And I wonder here, if you're Chad Duncan, maybe you try to force the issue a little bit. See if you can get him to run a little bit wide, knowing that he's had some problems.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll put the pressure on. He'll do what he can. Chad Duncan's been running a very good race out there, up 2 from where he started. Poor Rondeau was on the pole, unfortunately, and has just had just one bad lap, essentially, cost him, well, more than one bad lap. He added up those incident points over the course of it, and it eventually bit him in the end. But the driver that's been looking pretty flawless that I mentioned, Michael Johnson, has been very fast in this race. Hasn't had the pace in the qualifying, didn't get that pole. But DJ, why don't we see how it's done? Let's ride on board with him.
All right, well, this is coming down into the braking zone here for the bus stop. A right-left flick. You've got to bring the car over to the right-hand side of the track to be able to get through the last one there. And now we get onto the start-finish straightaway. Slowly bring the car here over to the left-hand side of the track and then jump on the binders for La Source. It is a massive, massive exit here, but you still want to go down and clip the curb, get onto the loud pedal, and let the car run out a little bit wide. Now you get a quick moment to breathe, and you but you have to be looking up at Eau Rouge and Radion. Here you go, absolutely flat out in this car. You bring it up the hill there. You see the speed bleed away just a little bit. Wonderfully executed there for Michael, and now you get the real time to breathe. Down the Kemmel straight, hold it to where you want to go, and then start to line yourself up here going down into Lacombe. You're going to want to get on the binders before you see those rumble strips, then bring the car to the right-hand side of the track, and then back again for the left flick. Malmedy here is going to be a little bit of a faster corner, and there you go. You just have to kind of feather the throttle as you bring your way down now into Ravage. Jump onto the binders here. You don't want to carry too much speed there. It's slightly off camber here, so you've got to be very, very careful. Hold the apex down as tight as possible, then bring the car over to the right-hand side of the track and come through No Name. This should be just about flat out, and there you see Michael Johnson taking it perfectly. Now, get the car over to the right-hand side of the track, jump on the binders just a little bit to bleed off some speed before you come into Poohall. Be steady on the acceleration here. You don't want to jump on the throttle too early, and then bring it out to the out-hand side, just kissing those rumble strips on the outside. Down onto the binders again, underneath the bridge for Fagnes. Very, very long chicanes. Again, throttle control. You've got to be very cautious and not get on it too early. That's going to be nice and easy. Another dab of the brakes here as you bring the car down through campus, and then let the car bring out wide a little bit and line up for flat out Stavlo. Now you're able to bring the car back out onto this straightaway, and you're able to breathe a little bit more as you bring the way through Curb Paul Frere. Now it's just a moment of lining up to the right-hand side of the track, bringing their way around, and now through Blanchimont, over to the right, down to the left-hand side of the track. Don't clip the curbs. Bring it on back around. Take it flat out. Absolutely perfectly done by Michael Johnson. And that is a lap around Spa-Francorchamps.
And I'll tell you what, I apparently do not know my pace of cars, because Jad Duncan not only caught Marc Rondeau, he's passed him and moved into 4th place now. So maybe there's some damage on Marc Rondeau that we didn't know about that's slowing him down, because he did touch the wall. And I'm looking at the car. Maybe there's like the tiniest on the right side of the rear wing, I feel like, but I wouldn't think it'd slow him down that much.
I wouldn't think it would either, but at this point, they're going to be just trying to hold him off here at this point. Jad just under a lot of pressure.
Really is. We're 2 laps to go from the finish. We'll get the white flag next time by from Michael Johnson. And he does have some damage on the right-hand side of the car as well, so that could also be doing a little bit of it. Maybe he hurt the suspension and he can't go as quickly through the corners. I don't know what it is exactly, but whatever the case, Rondeau's little problem has been growing into a bigger one. He's got Dylan Scott 9 seconds behind, but only 2 laps should mean that I think he's safe enough. It's just he's got to suffer the ignominy of watching Jad Duncan kind of pull away from him, since he just cannot keep up with that car.
Yeah, just not able to keep up with it at this point. Jad going to be scampering off into the distance, and yeah, I can see that little bit of a damage there on the right-hand side of Rondeau's machine. They're going to bring their way down here. I think for Mark at this point, he's just got to focus on keeping all 4 tires in the black stuff. He cannot attempt to fight with Jad. That car is just too damaged to really do anything. It just doesn't look like it's completely comfortable out on track.
No, it does not. 90 minutes in this race. We wondered who would be able to make it to the end, and pleasantly surprised, we've been shown that 12 of the 13 look like they're going to find that checkered flag. Only Ed Nelson lost on the very first lap of all things, and since then, nobody else has been willing to give up. There have been definitely a few cars that have had to take in their spare out there. In fact, looks like 3 drivers have done so. Jacob Abrams, Sam Mayorga, and Corey Thiel all took spare cars due to damage. Everybody else has been plugging away. Marc Rondeau probably wishes he was able to take a pit stop to take his. Although, look at this. He's back on it. He's got the slipstream. Does he have enough to try and fight back?
He very well might. If he does, this is going to be a big surprise. Looks like he lifted a little bit coming through Blanchimont, just didn't really trust the grip in those tires. He's going to not be able to make the move, but he's running out of time here. Only 1 lap to go as the white flag's in the air.
It is indeed. Johnson's already on that final lap and right on top of him, almost pushing him through the corner. We now hop on board the gearbox of Jack Duncan.
Duncan here not going defensive. He's just running his own line, and that's going to open up a door. Near contact.
Spins him around. He's going to wait. He does the gentlemanly thing. They've got time before Dylan Scott. Whoa, but he spins. And then there's another little bit of contact between them.
And I've got to say that was a little bit of an overeager move there from Mark Rondeau, but it looked like that Duncan gave him space. So I think I'd probably have to call that a racing deal in earnest, Joe, just based on it. Let's take a look at the replay, though, get a better idea.
I don't know. I fear that this might be a post-race penalty because they do hand those out. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he had the presentation on that one. I fear that he may have screwed himself a little bit, and even if he does finish on track and fourth, I wonder if he's going to have to give positions away with, usually they hand out lap penalties on those ones. Dylan Scott, though, is pretty happy about it. He passed Duncan. Now he's within a second and a half of Rondeau. If Rondeau truly is suffering for pace, then Scott could suddenly find himself with a surprise fourth. But this man right here, Michael Johnson, I asked the question, can he get to the finish without throwing it away? And he has answered me. I'm sure he's probably frustrated with me when he goes back and watches this, asking why I was asking that question. Well, Michael, you've proven me wrong, and you should feel proud of yourself, because as you've come up here to the final chicane, you've got a gap of 14 seconds over your nearest rival, and in the endurance round, you're going to take the win here at Spa-Francorchamps.
A commanding drive here from Michael W. Johnson, exactly what he wanted to do here today, putting him squarely back into that championship points race. A great run here, and here is your second place finisher, Mr. Michael Bolton, who was in the wars out there today.
He earned that one. Second place, and he deserves it. Same thing with Shulam. With clever strategy, he didn't have the tires. It didn't matter. He was able to keep it steady on those old tires, and he got himself a podium. And Mark Rondeau is going to finish fourth, but it's going to be unofficial here, as we don't know what's going to happen post-race. And Dylan Scott, a fifth place, top five, up 6.
Yeah, that's, to me, one of the drives of the race here from Dylan Scott, being able to bring his way up 6 spots. A little bit of fun there being had at the end, just a little bit of a demo derby fest from all of these Porsche Owners Club drivers.
And they like to do that post-race, of course, since they don't have to pay any money to worry about repairing those cars. Corey Thiel also up 5 in the end. Could have been a little better, unfortunately, but he had that black flag at one point, along with a couple touches with the wall, unfortunately. So he maybe had a top 5 for him, I'd say, in the cards today if he had just kept it on the track and kept it clean. That's going to be everybody. So we are going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Spa. We just saw round 6, the endurance round for 90 minutes here in the Porsche Owners Club Series, with Michael Johnson taking the victory. Michael Bolton finished behind him, and Michael Bolton actually looked pretty fast today. but his own little mistakes throughout the race kind of put him too far off of Michael Johnson for hopes of trying to take the win. You got to give the 127 credit because he fought back hard to get back to that P2. Jeff Schulam as well with an admirable run from 8th to 3rd place today, which included not taking tires, the same rubber from start to finish, which put him ahead of Mark Rondeau in 4th. The pole sitter had a contentious finish in the last lap, having contact with Jad Duncan. We'll see what becomes of that, as Dylan Scott was P5, and then Jad Duncan had to settle for 6. He was going to be a little bit higher, unfortunately. Doug Baccignone, P7, was ahead of Corey Thiel, who, despite having a black flag, still managed to go from 13th to 8th. Sam Mayorga was P9, driver who probably should have had a better finish. He was involved in the wreck on lap 1. Mark Bray was 10th, exactly where he started. From there, Jacob Abrams was the only other car to finish on the lead lap in 11th. Momeyer did get a black flag at the very end and was a lap down in 12th. Ed Nelson retired on lap 1 today, which will take us to Michael Johnson, our winner out there, collecting valuable points on Tom Layton the day that he is not around. Michael, you had an open goal with Tom Layton not being here, but you didn't qualify on pole. How confident did you feel that you'd be able to perform the way you did in the end?
Well, this is another one of those. I know I've got a bunch of them, but it's a home track. I used to drive here all the time. It's actually closer to where I used to live than Hockenheim. And I've done so many track days, so many races here. I felt pretty good about my ability to just be a metronome, just knock the laps out and just one right after the other and try to be as flawless as possible.
Well, it looked like a fantastic race, and we were saying that, commentators' curse notwithstanding, that you looked pretty mistake-free out there today. Was Bolton ever any sort of worry? Because early in the race, he was kind of charging up through everybody.
He made a good run. Now, I was working with Bolton earlier in the space between the races, so we had like 3 weeks here. So I was working with him. I was also working with Schulam. So huge hats off. Amazing job from those two, especially Schulam, making it all on one set of tires. We did talk about that when we were working on it. But Bolton, I think, just wanted to be up front. He wanted to be on the podium. I'm sure he wanted to win, but he's smart about how he races, and he's not going to make a foolish, overzealous pass early in the race. Like me, save those till the end. But yeah, I think he just had a very smart race, and I think he was sitting like at 16 incident points for about 40 minutes at the end there. So he was super cautious all the way at the end of the race.
The other good news is that with Layton not being here and this having to serve as his drop, you're only going to be 9 points behind, taking those drops into account here, or at least one of the drops into account. It's a shorter season. It's going to be hard to catch him, but does this kind of give you a little bit of a boost?
Well, this being a double points race, yeah, I'm really, really excited about that. So double points makes up for the absolutely abysmal race I had last time. I had just come back from Curacao. I did a bunch of work the day before, jumped into the race and had a lap 1 off, was catching up. And then at the end of lap 2, I think, just had a very unfortunate, no malice involved at all, but it was just an unfortunate side-to-side contact with one of the other drivers, and it essentially took me out of the race. So I was just tired. So this is a very nice comeback from that, and being able to just run it all the way to the end. I am immensely bummed that Tom wasn't here. I was looking forward to driving against him here because I felt like we would have a beautiful nose to tail trading positions the whole race, because Tom is fast and Tom is consistent. But this is one of my tracks. I love this place. This is my number 1 track anywhere in the world, not just in real life, but also on the sim. So I felt like I had a pretty good chance.
Well, apologies. I forgot about the double points. That actually puts you 11 points ahead of him in that case. So you are now leading the championship. Well, congratulations, Michael, on the win and moving up to the point. Anybody you would like to thank before you go?
Well, I want to thank Bolton and Shulam for being so fantastic this race. We worked really hard through this break. Of course, Fix Vodka, T-Mobile for Business, T-Mobile for Home, T-Mobile Home Internet, and Truffle Shuffle. Chef Tucker is absolutely kicking butt on the new Gordon Ramsay show. So be sure to check out that new Gordon Ramsay. I think it's called Top Level Chef. And she is on Gordon Ramsay's team, and she is kicking butt and taking names. So way to go, Tucker.
Great stuff. That was Michael Johnson, your victor here today at Spa. Up next, DJ's caught up with Michael Bolton in P2.
I have indeed. Michael, second place, and you had to work for it out there, my friend. That looked like you were constantly involved in a battle every time we looked up.
What's up, guys? Yeah, that was absolutely brutal. Mark and I are always so close at every track. It's fun to have a buddy that has basically the same pace as I do. But yeah, man, everybody was making mistakes, including myself, going off track and then trying to keep the incident points down because we only had 17 for the entire 90 minutes, which I racked most of them up in the first 30.
You were able to keep on and keep clean. I want to talk to you a little bit about coming out of the pit stops. You were behind Rondeau there. Were you worried at that point when he came out ahead of you?
You know, I accidentally pushed the radio button instead of the pit limiter button, so I probably lost a good second and a half entering the pits, and tried to do the minimum fuel splash as I could to try to come out ahead. But as soon as he passed me coming out of the pits, I knew it was the game of being patient. And Mark was definitely faster on those new sets of tires. Everybody felt a lot better on those, so just had to really put the pressure on, and was unfortunate that he made it so close to the end, starting P1.
Well, we changed things up a little bit next time, going back to the sprint format in around an altogether different circuit in the form of Mid-Ohio. How do you like your chances there?
I love my chances. Mid-Ohio is a great track. Spa is also one of my favorites. So I'm happy. I'm looking forward to go to Mid-Ohio. These great points. Got to give a shout out to Michael Johnson, my driver coach. He always seems to help me find tents here and there. So a huge shout out to him. Shout out to my fiance, Gabby. It's also her birthday, so happy birthday. And I have to give a shout out to Hernando from Orlando, and Pineapple Grips, POC, GSRC. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for doing the broadcast, and we'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you next week, Michael. Thank you so much. Congratulations again.
Thank you, buddy.
So that was second place finisher Michael Bolton. Next up, we have Jeffrey Shulam, who has the distinction of being the only person to run start to finish on the same set of tires. Jeff, it worked out in the end, but were you getting nervous when those guys started passing you that you made the wrong choice?
A little bit. I knew I was going to hold ground. I did some practice runs like this all the way to the end with no tire change, and I guess at the pace that I was going, I still had 17% on the front right, so I still had some traction there. I was doing all right.
It looked like a lot of drivers today were just having problems trying to deal with keeping these cars on the track. Obviously, we had only the one retirement, but we saw so many who had pace that lost positions due to just going off. Were you kind of focused on trying to keep it together, especially since you knew your plan required you to have tires that would go the distance?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've done 3 endurance races with my spec Boxster with POC, won 2 of them and got second place in a third. And because of my pace, even though I was in a spec Boxster, I got second place overall. So I get into a groove. I definitely have the mental aspect to be able to go the long distance. My neck was hurting a little, but other than that, for the occasion, being that we were in Belgium virtually, I went and bought some Belgian beer for myself tonight as a gift. if I got on the podium. So I'm looking forward to that.
I like that. That's just as good of a champagne celebration. But next time out, instead of the super fast sweepers that we have here at Spa, we go to the tight and technical Mid-Ohio. Can you perform just as well there?
I hope so. I like that track. It's definitely one of my favorites. I mean, obviously this one probably besides Laguna Seca is one of my favorites as well. So I love the momentum. I'm gonna stick with it. I've been working really hard with Michael and just putting in the hours to get on the podium like tonight. So I'm very excited about the future.
Well, this is a great place to have your first podium of the season, not just for the celebration of the Belgian beer, but double points. Congratulations.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, thank you very much.
That was Jeff Shulam, P3 here this evening, which is going to wrap us up. So we want to give a big thank you, of course, to the sponsors of the series, which is Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or at 225-664-2565. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. But don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Like we said, next time, Mid-Ohio will be 2 weeks from now, Monday, March 27th at 11 p.m. Eastern. And be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we've got listed here. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.